Welcome to the Redeemed Vision podcast, where we bring sight to the blind and freedom to those enslaved by our pornified culture. Here, we dive into hard but important topics such as pornography, sexual identity, true freedom, real love, and living marriage well. Go deep with us as we uncover what redeemed vision means for each of us living in the world today. Come to know yourself, the power of redemption through Jesus Christ, the joy of laughter, and how to live in gratitude and wonder. This is Redeemed Vision.
Greetings, salutations. This is Steve Pokorny of the Redeem Vision podcast. I'm the founder of Freedom Coaching. This is an outreach of Freedom Coaching .net. An honor to have you here. We have I'm thrilled actually for this episode and the conversation that will be taking place. An honor to have you here. Know that we are praying for you, and we pray that this is a blessing for you. Before we get into our conversation today, just a little housekeeping for you. A couple of our sponsors that help to keep us on the air here. I encourage you to visit them, to patronize their work. One is Catholic Casts. That's Catholic with one C in the middle, CatholicCasts.com. There's a class of recordings with over 2 decades of Catholic conferences. They can't be found anywhere else in the world. I've been featured on there, and any other very solid Catholic speakers and presenters. You're going to be enriched. So it's a very low cost of $9.95 a month, and helps you to develop the gift of yourself and discover the practical ways to live out the will of God in your life. And the other one is Voyage Comics. And there's lots of media out there, but a lot of it's subpar. And I love comic books. I used to grow up reading a lot of comic books. But here you're digging into virtue. You're digging into amazing stories. They're rooted firmly in the Catholic faith. And they're stories that are very engaged that anyone can pick up and enjoy. And if you click the link at the bottom of this, you're going to find a way to get into these awesome stories and also be able to support this work and this mission. As I mentioned at the top of our the recording here, Freedom Coaching. It's a one-to-one mentoring system that's designed to break the power of pornified images, unchaste behavior in both men and women to do that permanently through a transformation of mind, heart, and vision. So don't just quit, be transformed, break the power of porn. And also, Freedom Coaching has a foundation, the Freedom Coaching Foundation Incorporated. This is our nonprofit. It's a 501c3. That means it's tax deductible. We need your help with these outreaches, with allowing for scholarships for clients who come to us who are in a financial need, and also for other projects so we can continue to develop the mission and get this word out. So if God is putting on your heart to disrupt the supply chain of the pornified culture, then we really would encourage you to become part of our supply chain. And if you go to our website, again, freedom-coaching.net, click on Help Us Grow. You'll find all the information on there, how to donate. We are truly grateful. And I encourage you also to click the bell if you got one, to subscribe to this podcast and share this so we get the word out about these very important topics. And just I was in contact with one of my contacts. He's a deacon in the church, and he shared with me, and very kind, that this podcast has encouraged him, has impacted his own preaching. He's been bringing it to the pulpit. So whatever little way, whatever little blessing we can bring to the church through this work, we're honored and humbled to do this work. Now, life is all relationships. If you haven't figured that out yet, well, here's your clue, right? So sometimes we have trouble navigating these relationships, and we live in a pornified culture causing a tremendous amount of confusion surrounding dating, relationships, marriage, and sexuality. So I wanted to call in some resources on this, and I want to introduce you on our podcast to Dom and Cass Mann. They are the founders of Stomp the Serpent. They've become friends of mine, and they have a nonprofit. This nonprofit work, Stomp the Serpent, is a ministry that's designed to inspire people to follow God's divine plan of living life in a very secular world. We like to say non-Christian, a post-Christian world. So this has never been easy. following God's plan, but it's always been and always will be worth it. So the challenges we follow or we face in trying to honor God's path, it can be incredibly difficult, especially when we encounter pressures in the world, especially from our own loved ones, where they are urging us to follow worldly ways. And so how do we navigate? How do we make it through that? Well, I'm going to call on our guests here to help to bring some answers and clarity. Dom and Cass Mann, welcome to the Redeemed Vision podcast. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
An honor, an honor. And Cass, how are you doing today?
Great.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to this. We got to meet for the first time in person at the National Catholic Singles Conference. That was toward the end of August in near Detroit. Truly a beautiful honor to meet both of you. Dom, we had known you through being a former client of ours, giving a beautiful testimony. If any of you are after this podcast, head to the front of our website. You can check out Dom's testimony, which is beautiful. And then also seeing the two of you interact. It was a dance. It was a beautiful dance to see the witness come up from. So, grace and beauty and power all united there. Thank you for your witness. And so I'm truly excited to dig into today. So what I want to do is I want to go back and obviously, as for any of those who have followed the work that we do here on the Redeemed Vision podcast, don't stay on the surface. We want to go deep on this. So I'd like you to go back to kind of individually, and we'll stay with the fairer sex here, and we'll start with you, Cass. Talk about, if you would, go deep into go just growing up. What was life like growing up in your house? What was the image, the vision of relationships in your family? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I am a cradle Catholic, and every single Sunday we would go to Mass, but it was just a Sunday kind of faith. It was never really a deep relationship. It was just, you stand here, you sit here, you pray this, and you do this to be a good Catholic. But it was never a one-on-one relationship that I thought that I had with God. My family got divorced when I was really young, so we moved around a lot when I was little, but we always went to church. Eventually, my mom met my stepdad, who I call my dad. He's absolutely amazing. And he was also Catholic. So growing up, we would always go to church, and he would teach us a lot about our faith. So it wasn't until I was in high school that I was involved in a young adult group, or really a high school group called Life Teen. And that really, really deepened my faith. I was surrounded by kids my age that shared my values, and that were just normal people, that we all had something in common, which was really, really great. There was no relationships for me in high school. I was always someone that said that I don't need a man, that I am just going to be a rich aunt and a businesswoman, and a relationship was just something that wasn't in the cards for me. And then eventually, the longing for a relationship just got stronger and stronger. And I would pray, like, God, please give me a boyfriend. And eventually that just kind of formed into, God, please put me on the path that you want me to be on. And then I decided to download Tinder. I was in a really low spot, which is where I saw Dom, and I rescheduled my first. So it's an interesting story, but that's kind of the condensed version of my faith. And since we started dating, and as our relationship grew, our faith grew exponentially from there.
Wonderful. And again, a ton to unpack there, and we'll peel back that onion in just a minute. I want to switch over to Dom here. So Dom, same question here. Growing up, what was your experience of life with relationships, with marriage, with family? What did that look like for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was also a cradle Catholic, and it was pretty much the standard kind of Catholic view of what marriage looked like. But then, yeah, I don't know. I didn't have any relationships similar to her story, where it was like, man, I really wanted that. Not really not really knowing what exactly I was really longing for or what I was trying to get. But I definitely always imagined myself like, I definitely am gonna get married. I'm definitely want to be in some sort of relationship, but nothing really clicked. And there was, too many people willing to sacrifice their standards or their values and morals to be in a relationship. And then eventually you kind of just see them crumble and fall over time. So it was definitely, I had a high standards and high view of what a relationship is supposed to look like, which probably caused me to not be in one until ours.
Okay. And I want to put a humble challenge out here. You both mentioned, you both used the phrase, we weren't in relationships. Well, maybe you weren't in romantic relationships, but I'm sure there were relationships along the line helped you navigate from singlehood to the married state. So in that, I get what you're saying here. So, and you've been, how for, so all of our listeners here, how long have you been married?
3 months?
Yeah, 3 months.
3 months.
3 months. Okay, so
July 29th.
Congratulations. Very, very congratulations on that. And actually, I should have opened up our podcast on this. How would you describe the grace of the sacrament?
Mm-hmm. You can go first.
Absolutely amazing. Definitely worth the wait. If you're doing it right, dating and the engagement period is the worst thing ever. You're just longing to get married. And so you have like all the stresses of, wedding planning and all of that stuff, and none of the benefits of actually being one together until you are married. And so now that we are, it's like little things that people just, look over. I'm so grateful for, to be able to wake up next to you and just to eat breakfast in the morning. Little things, but it's just so amazing being married now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Dom, what do you say?
Yeah, I say that you cannot truly understand it until like you're all in. So, I always use the financial example of, I could ask her when we were dating and engaged, like, should I be buying this? Should we make this type of investment? Like those types of basically just getting advice and what she thought about it. But then it's totally different once you're on the other side of marriage to make that decision together and to have those joint bank accounts, to have everything combined so that it is truly a joint decision. Versus this kind of like, I'm asking a friend for advice on, should I spend this money? Is this a smart idea? Type of way of viewing it. So I guess I'd say that you can't actually know what it's truly like until you're all in. And I think that's also kind of like the beauty of marriage too, is, now you're in it and you're all in. There's no 1 foot out, 1 foot in. It's all in on everything.
All in. I think that is that's a great synopsis of the sacrament of marriage. And thank you both for that witness, which is really good. So from your background, right, growing up, think that obviously, Cass, you have a background of divorce here. We like to say here at the Redeemed Vision podcast is oftentimes our wounds, the hurts, the mistakes that we go to that often drive us into our missions, what we do, where God is leading us to. Dom, you obviously became a client of ours. Your background, you've gone public with your testimony involving pornography. Can you share just a little vision of what that life was like? What brought upon pornography? Where did that stem from for you? How would you describe that?
So how I even got involved, it's kind of hard to pinpoint the exact spot, but I mean, just as I just turned 23. So the internet was definitely a thing, and very prominent thing as I was growing up, even before I turned 10. So it was somewhere in that like almost turning 10 years old age where I kind of just got curious, didn't really know what was happening. And then if you have the internet, you can stumble upon whatever you want to stumble upon. And that kind of, spiraled from there, whether it was inspired from something like a magazine that I saw at a grocery store or in a house or wherever it was. But then that obviously, those ones weren't as explicit. And then you dive in on the internet, start looking at stuff, start clicking on links, and then you're at the most explicit stuff that you could pretty much access by just clicking around a little bit.
So, and I think it's important what you stated there. Let's go I want to go a little deeper. What do you, for yourself, the experience, Dom, what would you say was the emotional draw for you?
I don't really, it was just such a strong pull. It was like, as soon as you stumbled upon it, you couldn't just walk away. Then it was like, okay, now this thing kind of latches onto you, and you go back and you're like, okay, let's keep looking at this. Or, at first it felt bad and very wrong. And obviously that guilt and shame stays there, but like the more it happens and the more you do it, the harder it is, the deeper and harder that thing latches to you. So the emotional draw, I'm not quite sure at such a young age. Towards like teenage years, I'd say it was more of a like longing for a romantic relationship. But at the younger age, I'm not quite sure. It was just, it kind of attracted me and then latched hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like to use the language of Venom from Spider-Man, the symbiote getting attached to our soul, and we're not sure how do we get rid of this, right, in ways. And as we share with clients in our work, if you remember the classic, I'm saying this maybe tongue-in-cheek, Spider-Man 3, probably the least favorite of all the Spider-Man movies that have come out. But there's a key element, a key moment in that film where Spider-Man, Peter Parker, discovers loud noises are not a fan of Venom, and so he surrounds him with bars, and he takes 2 other bars and he begins to bang the bars, so much so that the symbiote is forced to separate from another guy called Eddie Brock. So and we're going to get into how you banged the bars, how you were able to break free. We'll get to that in a moment, but I want to switch over here to Cass, and this is going to be kind of an interesting topic in the fact that not many people are aware in the fact that the issue of pornography is not just a male one. All right, it's also female. An increasing number of females are getting involved with this. And Cass, this is a part of your story, and so I want to give you the leverage to share your story regarding pornography.
Yeah. So I can't pinpoint exactly where it started. And I would say probably from when I was around 10 years old, I just kind of stumbled upon masturbation. I had never searched for the word porn before. And I still have never searched for that, but it didn't mean that I wasn't looking for it just because I didn't search that on my keyboard. It started off with masturbation, and it was kind of like an addiction. It was an addiction. It just felt good, so I just kept doing it. It was very, very shameful, and I never wanted anybody to find out about it. I definitely thought that I was the only one that has ever done this, especially being a girl and at a young age. And it was a daily thing that I had struggled with up until we started dating. I had wanted to stop, but I just couldn't, no matter how hard I tried. And it made it especially difficult because I didn't have anybody to talk to it. I didn't have anybody to talk to about it.
So for you, what was the emotional attraction? Because again, oftentimes when we're talking, and why we're hitting on that, especially for those who are watching and listening to this, sometimes the idea, especially for a lot of women, is pornography is just dirty pictures, right? That's the idea that's communicated for a lot. And really, there's an emotional attachment that's under it, and that was one of the reasons asking Dominic. It's obviously a different experience, or typically for women, it's a different experience. So emotionally, what apparent need was pornography filling, or space was that filling for you, or trying to fill?
Yeah, I think I was just lying to myself, saying that I didn't want a relationship. And in that, it was like, well, I do want one. And this is how I fill it, because I don't have a relationship at a young age. Yeah, that's what I would say that it was filling, is the want for a relationship, but not knowing exactly what that was.
God, no, thank you. So obviously, as this develops, I mean, was it just for you, Cass? I know Dom, we'll pick on you. What was it that helped you break it out of it? I mean, was it Dom's pretty face? You're like, okay, I'm done with this and moving on. What would you say that was for you, or how would you describe that experience?
Well, early on in our relationship, I just remember we would, let me think. I can't remember. When did it start? I think you had brought up, we were having like a deep conversation, and it was something that he had said, or I had asked a question. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I had asked a question that was like, we were making out and kissing a lot. But anyways, it's like, well, why can't you just stop? And then that he had a push on him to like want to tell me about going into freedom coaching, but not wanting to admit that just yet early on in the relationship. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was the next date or something along the lines, very soon after that, he had told me that he had been struggling with porn and he was doing freedom coaching, and that he knows that watching porn is cheating in a relationship. And I'd also heard that too, and I believed that. And I didn't tell him that I was also struggling with this. But then I was thinking to myself, no, I would never cheat on him. And if he can do this, so can I. And we were just each other's accountability partners, and really, really taking it seriously and making it a priority to check up on each other and make sure that we're not doing anything that's tempting, or if we are,
like setting up boundaries,
boundaries,
and making sure that, making sure that things don't go to a point where then when we're not in the same place, that we're then tempted and want to go down that path.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. So let me ask this. And again, Dom, I'm going to pin you in just a second. So hold tight there. What was it that moved you from that behavior, that saying I'm done with this, I'm moving on my life? How would you describe that?
It was really something in my heart that was saying, like, this is wrong and it needs to stop. Mm-hmm. And I've been wanting to stop for so long. If I don't do it now, it's never going to happen. Like, it starts now. And because I was really, really serious about our relationship, and I didn't want to do anything to hurt you, I, just put an end to it, like, right then and there.
Okay. Praise the Lord. And obviously this is, I think, a total grace that was given to you to be able to do that, which is beautiful. That's not the experience of a lot of people, and it's not to discount anything you said, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So obviously I want to turn it over to Dom here. Obviously, Dom, you had a different experience, your different journey. Can you share your journey moving from having this attachment to freedom? What did that look like for you?
Mm-hmm. It's a long journey. I think it was over a decade long journey. And so started off very shameful and hidden. But then as you get into high school, it was like, seems like a very normal thing. And if you didn't do it, if you didn't watch porn or masturbate, you're actually kind of looked at as like, what is wrong with you? Specifically talking about like, sitting at the guys' table and being, cracking jokes and just having regular conversations that, if you did not look at it or watch it, or, you weren't somehow involved in the whole situation, then you were actually kind of looked at as weird. And now there was like basically nobody that didn't look at it. So it technically you were an outlier there. So, I started off very shameful and hidden, and then moved into like this very normal thing for high schoolers, specifically talking about like just the guys group and it being very open. People would send links to each other and talk about it. And I mean, they'd even pull it up at just like really weird times, which would just, I don't know, it kind of threw me off that they would be that open with the whole thing. And then, so a longing started to form towards the end of high school. And like, man, I really want to get rid of this. And there was something tugging at my heart that was like, man, like you need to get out of it. And it would go like kind of up and down, like, I really need to get out of this. Let's like stop right now and try to just cold turkey it, just be done. And then you'd fall back in and be like, okay, maybe I'll try again another time or something. Or there'd be people in school that, November comes around and they talk about, the no shave November, but they also talk about the other thing during November where you stop it completely and try to make it the whole month.
No fap November.
Exactly. And so they'd use different words, but they would, it really shook me that people would try, and then a couple days in, maybe a week in, they'd be like, dude, I couldn't handle it. Like and just seeing how impactful it is, not only in my life, but in theirs, was kind of crazy. So this longing started to form, and I wanted to get out of it. And I always would confess it to whichever priest I would go to for confession. And when I told like the table about confessing that, they were blown away at the fact that I would even mention that, which was also another like, boom, you have to get out of it. Like there's another like little tug of, they're not even confessing it in there. Like you're getting closer. You're kind of on the right path. And so confessing it, wanting to get out of it. And so that kept happening for years and years. And then I'm in college, and of course it's a totally normal thing there too. And I reach out to a local priest, and I'm just trying to talk to him about it. I meet with him a little bit, which eventually formed into doing spiritual direction with him. But I was just talking to him about it and wanting to get out of it. And he gave me your card. He gave me Freedom Coaching's card. And he's given it to a few different people. He was like, I think this is a really good program. I think it'd be up your alley. Take a look at it, see what you want to do, and we could just keep talking about it. And so I took the card home, and I went to the website, looked around, and I stopped at the form because this was still a very hidden thing. So I did not want to put any of my real information in there, or like really any details. I kind of just wanted to ship a form out to Freedom Coaching and be like, anonymous in Ohio needs help, and like somehow coach me through it without giving any of my personal stuff. And then I don't know, I think I submitted the form with very little details. And then you called me with the 216 number, which is the Cleveland phone number. And so I'm like, who is this guy? And so I answer it. And the only thing that I could really remember from it is that you told me that you can't, like, you're not just going to get rid of it. You need to kill it. And so the fact that you used that language and you were very confident on the phone was like, man, that planted a seed. And I ended up just throwing out the business card and like, I don't know if this thing's for me. Like, this is too crazy. I'm getting myself in over my head. And I don't know. I was like, I'm going to try this again by myself. Like, I'm going to do this by myself. I don't need this program. I don't need anybody else's help. I could just lock in, focus in, and get rid of it. That turned out not to work at all. And then I went to the website or called you back or whatever I did.
Hold on, before you go, what was the linchpin? And they're like, okay, I'm done. What was it like? Okay, I'm done. I mean, what was there? Epiphany? How did you describe that? I've been trying for so long, and then this priest is talking to me. He gives me the card, and I'm close to doing the program, but then I'm like, no, I could do it again. I could do it myself, whatever. And I think I just realized that I've been trying to do that for 10 years. So we need to switch something up. And if this priest knows anything about what he's talking about or about this program, is better than what I've got going on. So I could at least give it a shot. And I think it was when I met, I think it was when I met Chris Ricketts, one of the coaches. And that was the final, like, okay, I could let my guards down. He's cool. We're not all just weirdos hopping on these calls and trying to get rid of this porn thing, like just normal people. And I think that was the final thing of like, okay, I can let the barriers down. I can let these people in, let them do their work and help actually transform and give me the freedom versus my own personal struggle of trying to do it for 10 years and never being able to make it out. And it worked. Praise the Lord. And obviously for both of you, different journeys, but getting to a place of transformation, which is beautiful. So what emotionally, and this is for both of you to open up for this. And I'm grateful to the grace of God for us connecting in the past, but also right now. How would you say, what has been the difference emotionally from being involved in pornography to that life is no longer a part of our life? What's been the difference? How would you describe that?
I could go first. Emotionally, everything changes. The first thing that comes to my mind is all the dopamine levels leveling out and evening out. So things that I would take for granted and just would overlook completely, whether it's a super beautiful sunset or sunrise or just something in nature that's like, wow, that is, how is that even possible? And like, God didn't have to do it that way. He could have just, made things do their thing. He didn't have to make them beautiful or unique or any of that, but he did. And so to be able to take in stuff from the outside and not overlook it, because the dopamine was, you had to do so much to get those dopamine levels. Now those dopamine levels are caused by, it's raining and it just feels good being outside. And then also interacting with people. It's way different on the other side. Trying to
describe that. What is that like?
It's just awesome. Interacting with people before and after is a completely different experience. Even if it's people that you're not attracted to, you get a different type of feeling because I'm not quite sure. It's totally different and it's hard to describe, but I remember I was in a Chick-fil-A drive-thru and I just saw this little kid and her parents through the windows as I was going through the drive-thru. And then this little kid like pushes her face up against the window and like smiles and waves at me. And just something like that would never be able to be taken in and be that impactful without the redeemed vision and without being free.
That's beautiful. You're coming alive and seeing the little glimpses of grace there through this little child. I love it. for Cass, how has that shifted emotionally? From prior use pornography, now not, this is not it's not happening at all. What's the difference emotionally for you?
I don't have any shame anymore. And it's not like a hidden thing. It's like a weight is lifted off my shoulders. Like I don't have to worry about that anymore. At the beginning, it was really, really hard. And now that I'm completely out of it, it's just like I can breathe again and I don't have to worry about it. And now that I'm, completely free from it, I look at social media and music and movies, and I look back and movies that I watched before with my friends and we would joke about it, you don't realize how like messed up and like engraved it is in culture. Just how pornified everything is. And just being able to look back and see that it's completely changed the things that I take in and how I speak, the things that I listen to, and just how I interact with people.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Praise God. And obviously the change, it's worth it. It really, really is. So again, to all those who are struggling, again, and it may just be cold turkey, able to nix it. That's possible, and God can do that. But if you need help, this is freedom-coaching.net can help. We encourage you to check this out. So I want to ask a gentle but very intimate question. Again, from the emotional side, right? The one of the ways pornography is described for some people is that it makes you into a better lover. It's totally fulfilling. It's fulfilling all the wildest fantasies, and it's a lie, right? It's a counterfeit there. And again, we don't need obviously details here. Looking at an emotional level, how would you say your experience? What was the experience of pornography? How did that color your view of the marriage act to now being a young couple, married, in love, able and entering into this, right? And again, I don't need details. Emotionally, between the two of you, what does that look like? How would you describe that?
Mm-hmm. You want me to go?
Sure.
Okay. The biggest thing would be it's a true gift of self. It's 100% yourself and giving it over without having those fantasies, without having those images and those things clouding your brain. And, I'm sure a lot of people are using their spouse as basically like a sex toy where they're just thinking of these porn images that they have in their brain and using their body versus actually coming together in the marital act and truly giving themselves as a gift. And the biggest thing that blew my mind, which I don't know, I didn't really know that much about natural family planning until I did a ton of research and started reading Christopher West and looking into a bunch of different things and asking a ton of questions. And so I was sitting down with that priest that gave me the Freedom Coaching card, and he gave me like a sins list to look over. And one of them was, it was in the section with like sexual sins, and it was withdrawal. And I thought to myself, like, I think I know what this is talking about, but just to clarify, you're telling me that's a sin. And like, I did not understand it at all. And then, yeah, I was like, I have to do research on this. That must be why all these Catholic families have like 12 billion kids. And like, I don't know what's going on.
It's 11 billion.
Like, how are you supposed to even, like plan your family out and do all this stuff? So I was like, okay, I need to do a ton of research. And I did. I read Christopher West, listened to a bunch of the podcasts, did a ton of research, and then learning the actual reasons behind that and that there's a better way to do it, natural family planning, was the biggest thing in learning what the real marital act looks like.
Beautiful. Cass, for you, what was
I
the
would
shift?
say that the first time that you hear of like sex, it's probably from your friends at school or something along the lines of that. At least that was the case for me. And it can't be any further from what sex is intended for. Because porn is just so terrible. Like there's not a single speck of goodness about it. It completely twists people's minds into thinking that it's something that's dirty and it's just bad. And the Catholic Church, I think that they can do a much better job of, telling people that it's a gift from God and it's, God made sex. And that's just, to think about it for a moment, is he didn't have to make it that way. It didn't have to be, pleasurable. It didn't have to be any of these things, but he did. And he made it beautiful for a reason, because it's a glimpse of heaven. And the way that society makes it out to be it couldn't be any further from the truth.
Yeah, beautiful. And so, and I'm going to push here a little bit. So emotional, it's for you personally, and what you gave it, beautiful, beautiful image of, I'm sorry, I got to put myself on the screen there, a beautiful image of obviously what the church brings, but moving on here, emotion, what was the shift for you? Now, obviously entering into, I'm with my husband, we are one flesh. What is the difference emotionally for you compared to previous experiences with pornography?
I don't know.
Is there a difference?
I think it's just I had never been intimate with anybody before. Dom was my first kiss. So it was just, I am sharing this with him and only him.
Yeah.
Till death do us part. Like, this is just something that is shared between us, and it's so special that it's just really, really beautiful and incredibly intimate. And it's just like we're soul bonded and connected. Like a piece of myself is with him always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think specifically emotionally, it's the fact that there's not really emotion with porn. You're taking away, you can do whatever you want with the porn. There's no yes, no, there's no sort of consent or anything. And you really use it whenever you want for whatever you want. And then when it comes to a relationship, you have to think of the other person and truly, give yourself as a gift. And then that causes you to emotionally connect and to think of their emotions and to think of what's going on. And there's a lot more things involved because it's bringing the whole person than just, all right, now's the time. I'll go get my phone, whatever I'm watching it on, and use it right there.
Yeah, no, it's good. And beautifully stated here, right? And it's the easiest way I like to describe is it is worlds apart. Right, it appears to be because there's a let's in some forms of pornography, a man and a woman together. They are in some state of undress here, but chemically, biologically, emotionally, relationally, it is worlds apart. Right, and the simplest way we like to say is the marital act is so intimate. It is too intimate to ever be viewed. It is only meant to be participated in by a loving husband and wife who are committed to the whole of marriage, the whole of the relationship, the whole of each other, right? And right here is a beautiful image of that. So thank you for going there, for being able to describe what is in a certain sense indescribable in a certain sense, because it is beyond words. It's an expression of the self, but I think it's communicated very well here. So what I want to do is I want to shift gears from here, and you have actually, I'm going to pick on Dom. You've got something written here. I'll go to full screen on y'all right now. You've got in the background there something called DM Productions. What the heck is that all about?
For sure. So that's the Catholic video production company that I own, and we aim to amplify Catholic influence through elite videos. We've got a course coming out that's our gift for the new evangelization. It's free, and we want to make sure that all Catholic organizations, whether you have a ton of money or no budget at all to spend on media, at least you can watch this course, step up your internet presence and your social media game to compete with everybody else that's on the internet. Because, a lot of Catholic stuff just aims for function, and just function is good enough. But we want to make sure that visuals and the different graphics and making it more than just a little functional is the goal, and to be able to give that to anybody that needs to, so that they can attract more people to the faith, to their ministry and to their organization.
Well, and because Dom, what you're talking about is form and function, right? Function and form, right? There's obviously the language, masculinity and femininity. Yes, men, we are beautiful in our own masculine way, but I'm sorry, between you and your wife, I'm sorry, you don't hold a candle to beauty in a very real sense. No offense, Dom. So in this here, right, but I think it's critically important. It's beauty that evangelizes. It is beauty, like nobody says about a sunset. Okay, you can turn that off now. I'm done. No, we're raptured. I want more of this. I can stay here forever, right? My eyeballs aren't burning out, right? I'm able to take in something here, and I kind of want to consume that sunset because it's something that is glorious here. So the fact that you are doing a great service to allow to educate, because in many cases they have the education here, and truth is beautiful. How are we communicating that message to a world that in many cases the written word is being lost? So how can we draw them in through the visible, right? And when we see a beautiful person, right, I'm enraptured. I want to get to know more than that. So I want to get to know more of them. So the person that we know more, we want to love, and the person that we love, we want to know more. And how does that come through? For a lot of us, it's through our senses. And this is one of the beauties of Catholicism is sensory, sacramental, entering into the beyond the invisible makes visible what is the physical. The visible is made visible. The invisible is made visible through the physical. There you go. The invisible is made visible through the physical. To say that again, right? And so I think you are helping do that using the modern means of communication. And this is what the church is calling us to. So thank you. God bless you, especially for all the ugly websites out there. Let's upgrade those and bring beauty in there. So with that said, flipping around, the other one you're involved with, and again, you maybe it's directly connected, maybe it's separate, is Stomp the Serpent. I love this as a man who likes to go to battle. At least I talk a good game, but knowing we have to go to war, what is that all about? And I don't know, Cass, if you want to take the lead on this conversation, because I know the two of you are going into work on this. What is Stomp the Serpent? I think .com. What is that all about?
Yeah, so we started Stomp the Serpent before we got married. Dom had met the director of the National Catholic Singles Conference, and in one way or another, I don't exactly know how, we were asked to do a talk, and we didn't want to look like noobs, and we wanted we had always talked about wanting to start a ministry. We didn't know exactly how it would look like, but we just then and there decided this is what it's going to be. So we created Stomp the Serpent, and it's a Catholic ministry that aims to bring more people into the Catholic Church, knowing that it uses technology, and so since there are so many accounts that are spreading falseness about pretty much everything, we wanted to spread the truth about the Catholic Church. And you see all of these new, non-denominational churches, and they have like full-blown concerts in their church. We wanted people to, if they have a preconceived notion about the Catholic Church, that it's boring and traditional and old school, but it's really anything but that. And we want to spread that message to as many people as we can and bring more people into the Catholic Church through that way.
Oh, awesome. Dom, do you have anything to add there?
No, she got it.
Fair enough. And I did take a peek at the website. It's beautifully done. I'm excited to see how you develop this work and getting the work out. And I think that course there is going to be really important. Do you have a name for that course that you mentioned?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a few. The first one's going to be Catholic Social Media Makeover, which will be out relatively soon, within the next few weeks. And then we're doing some about short form content, so that they can make their own short form content. I mean, you see everybody posting these little clips online. How do we get it for our organization? And then we'll eventually do the website refresh one.
I love it. I'm going to have to take a look at it. So please keep me apprised of it. Send me the links of it. We'll get it promoted on our own channels, because any which way we can bring more beauty into the world, it is critically needed. As Dostoevsky, the Russian author, has said, it is beauty that will save the world. And most importantly, the two of you, thank you for being a beautiful witness to the redemption in Jesus Christ, and now bringing this into your marriage. It is awesome. So any final, before we move on to we'll move on here, and I'll give you final statement from here. I want to move on to what we call the 12. So these are 12 questions that have seemingly but everything to do with what we just talked about. They're light, they're fluffy. Don't overthink them. It's kind of top of your head responses. So Dom and Cass, are you ready for the 12?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Number one. This is one of my favorite parts of this. All right. Number one. What was your first dance song title at your reception?
Our first dance that we did as a couple, It's Always Been You by, I don't know the name. It was in his love playlist, and when we were dating, and I was like, oh, that's going to be our wedding song. So yeah.
Awesome. Wait, what's it called? Dom, what's the name?
I'm not sure.
It's Always Been You. It's not a whole lot of people know the song, but it's absolutely beautiful.
Okay, I'll have to look it up. I'm always in for finding new music. This is good. Number two, who is most likely to do the dishes?
Probably you.
Yeah, probably me, because I just want them done. We don't have a dishwasher, so if it gets clogged up, it's way worse to have to do them when there's a ton of them in the sink.
Yeah, I'm more of I'll get it later.
True correction. You do have a dishwasher. His name is Dom. So
yeah.
And I like to
dry.
Say, hey, that's very important. Really, really important. And here's a life hack. One thing I learned for you and for anyone listening to this who's interested, get the dishes done at night. And then the next morning, it's like your kitchen's like Eden. It's brand new. There's not the mess. We don't have to worry about mental space ended. A little life hack for you. Number three, who snores the loudest?
You do.
Me, but I don't snore that much.
It's not that bad, but I don't snore. So
honest. Number four, who's better singing?
Singer? For sure you.
I would
Good.
say me.
Number five, who's the optimist in the relationship?
The what?
The optimist.
I don't know.
We're both pretty good.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of even.
Good. Number six, who's a better kisser?
Dom.
I'll take
Honest.
it.
He's the leader.
Honest.
He leads.
Honest. Number seven, who's a night owl?
Me.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. He's out by 10. Gone. Number eight, who's a better cook?
Me.
Oh yeah, for sure her.
What's your top recipe? Somebody comes to visit, what would you cook?
My personal favorite, I don't know. I like a good. I love Costco and Sam's Club food. So one of those like meals. My favorite is spanakopita. Just like little appetizers, small little fancy appetizers. I'm a fan of those.
Those are good. Very, very good. Spanakopita, you're making me hungry. I like it. Number 9, who is most likely to apologize first?
I think it's me.
I don't know. Maybe me. It depends what it is. I'd like to think me. But I know you think you.
Yeah.
So maybe you.
The fact that you're not sure who, that's a very good sign, perhaps. I'll take that. Number 10, if your married life, were as a movie, who would be the actor or actress that would play you?
Jeez, I don't know. That's a hard question.
I know, you're welcome.
Just play me. I have 0 clue.
I'll go with The Rock. Pretty cool.
A Rock, I like it. I like I can smell what you're cooking.
Who would you choose for me?
I don't know. I don't know. We
I'd
don't
have
really
to think about it too.
Yeah.
I can't be
I'll
played
let you.
by anybody else but myself.
There you go. I'm going to be in the movie with The Rock, so I get it. Okay, good. No jealousy there. Okay, number 11. As a couple, what is your bucket list city or country?
The Holy Land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Pray for the Holy Land right now, obviously. And number 12. If I get married in the Catholic Church.
Will I get married in the Catholic Church?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? That's the only way.
That's a great response. Anything you want to add, Don?
I mean, what are we comparing it to? Like, why get married in general?
No, just in the Catholic Church, because you have lots of options. I could go to Vegas and get an Elvis impersonator. Why the Catholic Church?
Because it's the true sacrament and you're taking it seriously, and to do it with all of your friends and family around you is just, so beautiful that you're publicly like professing the vows in front of everybody that you know and love.
Mm-hmm. But you're also you're spiritually united when you're up on that altar. So like the other ones, it's just kind of, the other ones are more of like a contract, I guess, versus an actual sacrament. And yeah, I'd say that it's like contract versus being in an actual sacrament and an unbreakable bond.
Yeah, and another way to put it, a contract is exchange of goods. A sacrament is an example of a covenant, the exchange of persons. And with my body, I do worship, and it is a lifelong act of worship. Good times, bad, sickness, health, entering into. And you two are on your way. It is started. I am honored to share this gift, to be able to share the gift of both of you with the world on the podcast here. So, any final parting thoughts here before we bid adieu for a time?
I'd just say, if anybody's on the fence for freedom coaching, look into it, schedule a call, whatever you got to do, because it has definitely changed my life. And as like it's also changed her life in the fact that I was able to become the person that I needed to be. So don't feel weird about it. Don't think that there's some sort of like creepy people doing these Zoom calls that will coach you through this thing. The stuff that they do works, and the coaches are really cool, approachable, and just at least get on a call with them to feel it out. And I promise that you're going to get way more than you ever thought, just by kind of just go a little bit in that direction, and then God will pull you the rest of the way. Beautiful.
Yeah. And Cass, anything else as an ending point for our conversation?
I would say, if you're a woman watching this, that you aren't alone. there are tons of women that struggle with this, and it's okay to get help from it. And freedom coaching is by far the best thing that I've ever heard of to get you out of that addiction.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to receive this from both of you. I'm especially honored to see the fruit, what has been learned from this, from Dom, from your yes, and then obviously your mutual yes in the sacrament of marriage. So praise God for his healing, for his mercy, and life's not easy, but we know that God is with us. So praise God for that. Hang on the line. We'll talk after we're done here. But I want to thank for Dom and Cass for being with us on the Redeemed Vision podcast. I want to thank you for being here. Please, again, click the bell, spread the word here. If it strikes your heart to support us financially, we certainly can use your gifts there. And may everything we do give glory to the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be unto ages of ages. Amen. Remember, nothing is wasted and everything is redeemable. So next, I'm Steve Pokorny, and this is the Freedom Coaching Podcast. God bless.
The Redeemed Vision podcast is an outreach of Freedom Coaching. To learn more, check out freedom-coaching.net and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and MeWe.